Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hey guys, just a quick preamble before this one. Mark Watts was the artist for several of the boxes back in the old Generation 1 days. And he's also got a Kickstarter running at the moment for his table art project, which is a interesting combination of wall decor and coffee table. It's worth checking out. There's a Kickstarter going on right now. The links will be on Twitter and in the descriptions and pretty much anywhere we can stick it. But I'd just like to say, time was something of a constraint for this one, so it's a little tighter than I would have liked. You know me, I usually like these to go on a good long time, but hey, I'm just very grateful that Mark took the time to sit down and have a chat with me, and we could see a bit of sort of the in and outs of what it was like to do this kind of industry that we don't really hear much about. As of this recording, Mark's Kickstarter has about 2 weeks left in it. I think it's well worth your time and checking out. So follow all the links we give you, check it out, do what you do, and most importantly, enjoy.
Woohoo!
Okay, everyone, we've got Mark Watts here, like I said in the intro, and yeah, Mark, hi, how are you?
How you doing today?
Not too bad. Bad weather, but Ireland, so always bad weather.
Gotcha.
So Mark, let's get straight into it. What is your background? I mean, coming into box art, how does someone come about that?
Okay. Well, I'm an illustrator and I loved art and illustration my entire life. Loved kids' toys. And I went into the professional realm at around 25, and I had an agent in New York called Mendola, and
Mm.
he represented me. And I was doing a lot of airbrush, which it was big back in the 1930s. It had a resurgence in California. And then it never got quite to New York, but I was starting to use airbrush in New York. There wasn't a lot of people doing it. And I did a lot of cars and reflective type surfaces with an airbrush that looked really cool. I was working with Dr. Martin's dyes. And at the time, which is very brilliant, the dyes show through the whiteboard and it almost brings the illustrations to life. But anyway, everything's done with a frisket, hand cut, and it's very delicate. But I was doing a lot of car and some toy artwork through my agent in New York. My agent was approached by Hasbro at the time, and and other companies that had this new line of toys coming out, Transformer. Now, nobody even knew it would be a successful line. Of course, I did so many toy boxes and whatnot. But what had happened was they brought in some prototypes. I met in my agent's office, and I worked through the ad agency that worked through Hasbro. And they were prototypes and they didn't move. They were very static and they were glued in one position. The Transformers had been a success in China and Japan, I believe, and not a great success, but an okay success. So they brought the toy line into the U.S. So I did the first two, the G1s, the small little blister packs that has Bumblebee and the other six in the series. I did sketches and I exaggerated the perspective and of course made it look not exactly like the toy, but a close representation with exaggerations in it. It had some more movement and I really pushed the perspective to make it as interesting as possible. So I worked on 6 sketches. They were kind of large. They were probably about maybe 30 inches, 35 inches square. And I took them in and I had a meeting and they liked the perspective and the view. I went ahead and completed, I believe I did 1 or 2 and I showed them and they loved them. And then I completed the first 6 and they were the first 6 that were done in the United States, really of that time. So there was nothing else done. And that was, I it was around 1982, I believe, when I did them. Do you have any other questions, or should I go on?
Oh, go on, go on. That's very interesting.
Okay. So what had happened was after that, I guess they were put out into the marketplace. It took about a year, probably from when I did them to when they hit the marketplace, and from that point on, they came back to me, and I worked on the construction set and many others. I did about 50 blister packs and boxes and related artwork that was used on lunch kettles and different things. And who knew that it was going to turn into a major you know franchise? I mean, you just never know. Now, I had all the prototypes that were in my studio here, which I don't remember giving them back, but my son at the time was 5 years old, and if I knew that it was going to be a great success, I would have handled them with more kid gloves and not let my son tear them apart. So that probably cost me about 50 grand if I had all the originals today. And I went out and I bought the boxes when they came out, but I did so many. I did like 50. So, like, I wasn't going to go buy all the boxes, which was my mistake. I would have had the original boxes at the time. So that's a lot of the story, how it went down. Do you have further questions? Also, I do want to bring up one thing. I have just recently started doing some of the Comic Cons and whatnot, and it's a great experience when you meet people that say, you were my childhood. I took the boxes and I hung them on my wall, and they were my artwork forever as I was a kid. And you're the reason that I became an illustrator or an artist or whatever. So it's kind of a feel good point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. One thing I've been curious about with especially the original boxes. Did you have much creative freedom in interpreting the characters into the artwork? Because a lot of the comic art and stuff, they got to design them their own way.
Mm-hmm.
Were you told to do directly toy to print, or were you given a bit of leeway that way?
No, I was totally given freedom. They gave me the toy, and of course, it was very static. And they said, make it exciting. So really the forced perspective and the color, and of course I exaggerated the shines and everything. So, and at that time, there's no computers to do illustration or anything like that. I mean, it was all done by hand in very large boards, and I used Frisket, which is like a picture if you had a big piece of of tape, regular clear tape, but it's not as sticky. And I would put that over the board and cut. I've cut enough Frisket to go around the world maybe twice in my career, because I've been doing this for many years, 30 some years. But if you take a look at one of the boxes, every line and everything you see is cut out. So where I want a real hard line, I have the tape down into and then airbrush it and peel the masking up. And when I want a little softer line, I moved around tracing paper, and that's how I got the technique. But I did have creative freedom.
That sounds incredibly work intensive.
Yeah. Well,
Like
to give you an idea, I'm glad you bring that up. Picture one of the items. They probably took me, I would say one piece took a week.
Wow.
So at least a week for the box, and maybe a day or so for the drawing or two. So by the time, that it was accepted and they liked it, but they pretty much liked everything that I did. I didn't have to rework anything to my knowledge. Everything that I did, they accepted. They were pretty good.
Excellent. So after Transformers wrapped up, the main toy line anyway wrapped up, a year or two into the run, or rather the stuff you worked on. What did you do with yourself? Did you stay in box art?
Well, yeah, I did stay in box art, but that Transformer stuff, it probably went on for 10 years for me. And then what happened was, it kind of went over to the Orient, and they almost worked it like an assembly line. I was told, like the one guy would draw it, and then the next guy would just illustrate the chrome or whatever, and the one guy would just cut frisket. So it was a more an assembly line. They were good, but I don't think they were as good as the first ones. I had worked on the projects along with some other artists that did. I didn't do a lot of the back of the box art, which was although I did some pretty nice scenes of artwork, but some other artists did the back of the artwork, and David Sleinkoffer and Jeff Majot, two of my friends that I know that was with my agent as well, they did the back of the box art more than I did. I think I did more pieces because I was doing singular pieces, and there were just so many boxes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they could do the back of the box, but that was used 100 times over. Do you know what I'm saying? It was the same one repetitive that they used mostly for every box. So at the end of the day, like I said, when I was done, I probably had 50 pieces, and I kept most of the originals. I still have some originals today. I've sold some, and I still have some today.
When did you start doing the convention circuit?
I did not start that till like 2 years ago. I was called up I had done some publicity on Facebook or whatever, and there was a book that came out by Jim Sorrison, who you know, Art of the Transformers, and some people knew my work from there, so they contacted me to do some of the the Comic-Cons and all that. I didn't go to a lot of them. I mostly stay local, but I've been called to do many of them, and I've only done a few. But getting back to, you had asked me what I did afterwards. That went on for 10 years. And then after that, I did a lot of other boxes, and I worked on a movie posters. I worked with Clint Eastwood on a Pink Cadillac was done around that time. And I worked for Paul McCartney, and I did a Rolling Stones video rewind. If this is far enough back for you, a VHS tape. Their first
I remember them well.
VHS tape video. That's how I'm dating myself. But anyway, I worked on that for the Rolling Stones. So I did many commercial things. I probably worked for most of the companies, or many of the countries in the country. And then after that, I kind of left my agent and went on my own, and went into being a designer as well. I worked for BJ's Wholesale Club, Costco, and things like this as some design work, and always doing illustration. I just last year was in Boca Raton over in the west coast of Florida, and I was with Tim Allen and Jay Leno, and they were very nice. And I was hired by Lincoln Continental to do a large painting, two large paintings that were actually donated to charity. They paid me, Lincoln did, and they sold them at the show, which was Concourse d'Elegance, and that was last year.
Oh wow, that's amazing. You certainly had an eclectic life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, as an illustrator, you work on many projects, but, you just don't know which ones are going to take off and be, that successful as a Transformers piece. And as I told you, do you want me to tell you a little bit about what I'm doing now about a transforming piece of artwork?
Yes, I was going to say, like, we're lucky to have the chance to talk to you because you have a Kickstarter going on. A very interesting one. It's called Table Art. So please tell us about this.
It's transforming table art. Well, what happened was, since there was so much interest in the Transformer pieces that I had done, I had an idea. I was at my daughter's apartment in New York City, very small. She hardly had any room for like a coffee table because it was very thin. And I had given her some metal art that I had done. And I thought, what a great idea if that came off the wall and became a table, like a coffee table for her. And then I started thinking, well, maybe it can extend into a desk table, and had cool artwork in it. And I said, well, wait a minute, you should be able to change the art. So I researched, and there was no patent on that, which I was a little surprised. So I made this artwork. It's called table art. It hangs on the wall, 24 by 36. It's made of anodized aluminum, and same thing as your MacBook Pro. It comes off the wall, and turns into a coffee table and a desk table. And it can be Velcro right to the wall. It's about 14 pounds and extremely well made. And we're in the process of producing it now. But anyway, Transformer artwork looks great it's very modern looking, and it looks great in there. It's like pop art, you know what I mean, that you had as a child. You know what I mean? It's great. So
I was looking
the
at it
Kickstarter
earlier on.
Campaign, we have 15 more days on it, or 16 more days. We're doing okay, but we would like people to visit and check it out. I think they would like it.
Yeah, I was looking at it myself the last couple of days. First of all, like some of your non-Transformer art pieces up for this, I think are absolutely beautiful.
Thank you very much.
I love the tropical sailboat picture. I think that's just stunning. I don't like boats, but I like that. But I was like, so if someone's interested in getting this, will prints come with it, or will they have to buy prints separately? Or
actually, it's a great deal, because if you get the first 50 rewards, which I don't know how many are gone, but there are some left. You get 4 pieces of art: 1 Transformer piece of art, the sailboat piece you liked, and some other tropical art, which really looks cool. They can go on my website, which is www.tableartstudios, TABLEARTSTUDIOS.com, Table Art Studios, and click on buy, and it will take you, and then click on the link to the Kickstarter. You can supply the link on Kickstarter. It's pretty long, so this is an easy way to get to it. www.tableartstudios.com. Click on the buy, and then you go to the link on there, and you could get 4 pieces of great art. It's a beautiful piece. We're trying to get up enough money to manufacture a large volume so that we can produce it at a reasonable cost. Plus, you can always add, I have like 50 pieces of Transformer art that you could add your favorite Bumblebee or whatever. You could add it to the table. The end clips off, and you just slide the new piece in, and it holds 4 pieces of art.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like I was actually following it myself, and I think it's absolutely great. You can get not just the art that comes with the piece, but you've got so much art available to as sort of an extra if someone's interested.
Sure, you can add on. I do a lot of car art. Like I told you, I work for Lincoln Continental and all. And on my website, Table Art Studios, there's a lot of art to choose from, Transformer and non-Transformer art, mostly car-related stuff. But the Transformer art is certainly great, and there's about 50 pieces there.
I think this is really, really excellent. And you said it's got 15 days to go as we're talking, and we're doing this on the
only 15 days. I wish I would have got to you sooner, but I was very busy launching this, and I talked to Jim, and Jim Surson said, "Hey, I have a guy you need to talk to." So I'm glad I got a chance to speak to you today.
Well, I'm very happy to, and like I said in the intro, we're a little caught for time today, so this will be a little bit shorter than our usual interviews, but I think it's been pretty interesting. I've never had a chance to talk to someone who did box art before, and I think this table art thing is actually, when you said it wasn't patented, I was just like, this seems like something someone would have thought of before.
Right. Like when the lawyers that I was using, they go, it's probably a patent. I says, I don't know, let's check. And then I did a research, and it wasn't patent. And by the way, I am actually got 2 patents, and the second one, which is a later leg of this project down the road, probably a year out or something, it's going to be digital, where you can send any image you want to the table or to the wall through your cell phone.
That's very interesting. That sounds really cool. I have to keep an eye out for that.
So it's just a little expensive for the very light, thin screens. I have some people that I work with in China, and they're very expensive right now. But as you know, with everything technology, look at the size of big screen TVs, right?
Exactly.
So in a few years, it will be probably feasible to do that at a reasonable cost. But for now, the static art's great. It's inexpensive. And if you go on the Kickstarter, you can get a beautiful piece and save well over $100 of the retail price.
Excellent. Well, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Check out the Kickstarter and all the other links I've got. They'll all be on Twitter and with the interview. Mark, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah. Guys, as always, if you got any feedback or anything you want to send us, the email address is moonbase2@gmail.com. Keep in touch. And yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on this, and hopefully This will get it fully funded, and we'll see it kick off.
I really appreciate any questions for anybody out there. They can always email me. Go to my website, tableartstudios.com, and you can send an email from there. Any further questions, or through Kickstarter, you can get in touch with me through there. Go check it out. I think you guys will appreciate it.
Excellent. Thanks again, Mark, and we'll talk
Thank
to
you.
you again. Bye bye.
Talk to you soon. Thanks. Goodbye.
That was my interview with Mark. He's a very interesting guy. Lives something of a life, that one has. But yeah, definitely check out his Kickstarter. Check out his website. I think it's well worth considering. I really, really do. It's an interesting idea. I'm especially interested in the digital option. I hope that comes up soon enough. But yeah, also check out any prints he has available to buy. I've seen so many people say they'd love to have a piece of Generation 1 art on their wall. Well, now's your chance. Yeah. And just another thank you to Mark. I always love interviewing interesting people, and I love interviewing people who aren't just writers or artists on the comics. So this is a nice bit of variety. But yeah. Thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you again. Take care.